This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 172 of Skywalking through Neverland. And then her fighting shots, like when she's like swinging around and kicking butt. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Because if it doesn't look like Chris Pratt, you don't necessarily buy in.
The Christopher Nolan Batman film.
Right.
Batman is here again.
Batman Begins.
Hi, I'm Batman. What's it called?
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins.
I thought her costume was awesome. I'd like to use another word, but this is a family-friendly podcast.
The ride is way too awesome. The Star-Lord's awesome dance-off is way too awesome.
All right, now, before we review the film,
Yes.
be forewarned there will be spoilers.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen!
Off to Neverland!
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Wow. Oh, what?
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers! Are you ready to talk some Star Wars and Disney? And maybe on this episode, a little DC? Well, if your answer is a resounding yes, yes, and yes, well then welcome to Skywalking through Neverland. This is the podcast where you will find the bright center of your Star Wars and Disney fandom. And maybe a little DC will slip in like we just said. I am Richard Woloski. Now, everyone, please say hello to my Wonder Sweetie wife, Sarah.
Yay!
Wonder
that's me.
Sweetie.
Wonder Sweetie, I love it. Oh, thank you. Well, I would like to say hello to all of our Star Wars and Disney and maybe even DC family this week. And
We're crossing streams this episode.
we got the Wonder Woman costume back here if you happen to be watching our video, and I'm wearing the Wonder Woman her universe lasso dress. Very excited. So we like to start each and every show with a giant Wookiee hug and perhaps a lasso of truth lasso to all of our family of Skywalkers who listen to this show every week. Also, we want to give a big welcome to the SkyTubers who are on YouTube and the Facehuggers who are on Facebook Live. And you guys watch our live stream every week on YouTube and Facebook. And also a big shout out to everyone who tweets at us. We are at Skywalking Pod, and we love it when you post in our Facebook group and just in general, just share the positivity about our collective adventure through fandom.
Right on.
Also, I want to give a special hello to those of you listening or watching on YouTube right now. You know, every week we share not only this show, but also we are starting a special archival rewind weekly video that will be exclusive to YouTube. So you know that. So, Richard, do you want to explain this archival rewind?
Yeah, archival rewind is something I started back in 1984. And I've been collecting videos. I used to be a video hound, just recording every single thing I could on Star Wars. And since there is a connection with Star Wars and Disney after the Star Tours era in the late 80s, we'll get some Disney stuff as well. But I've just got hours and hours and hours of stuff collected that I had uploaded to my Mac, and now it's just sitting there. So
like it was a VHS, and now it's all digitized.
I transferred it over to my Mac, and now instead of just sitting there, let's share it with the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
So there are just so many hours coming your way from pop culture references on different TV shows to Laserdisc supplemental material.
Wow.
To just stuff I would see, and I would literally sit in front of my TV in the 80s, just with the remote control that had a wire that went from the remote to the actual recorder, so I couldn't be that far away, just ready to press that record button in case someone should happen to mention Star Wars, because, back in this day, it was very few and very far between. So
there was no YouTube.
So when someone mentioned Star Wars, I wanted to get it because you had to savor those moments. So we are so excited. So Sarah, next Tuesday,
Yes.
we're going to start uploading. Or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
This Tuesday this week. I mean, if you're hearing this later, just go to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
But yes.
So Tuesday, June the 6th, which is officially tomorrow.
Yes.
You'll get our first video.
Mhm.
We would say what it is, but we haven't chosen it yet.
That's true. But we'll have one a week. So be sure to look forward to that. And that is, once again, exclusive to YouTube. So you can head to our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/skywalking through Neverland and you'll find it right there. You can subscribe to.
So we are broadening our horizons. Now, speaking of broadening our horizons, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on June the 5th, 2017. And Sarah, what time is it?
It's 7:49. Good evening.
Good evening.
And that is Pacific Standard Time. Thank you, Minnie. Now, Sarah, coming up on this superhero extravaganza episode, we're going to be recapping our day at Disney's California Adventure, where the new Summer of Heroes just opened.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Now, we're going to review the new Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout ride, and the new shows, and all the fun stuff popping up over there at California Adventure. So after a day of fun, Sarah, we sat down with Anthony Fox from Mouse Pyre, with Josh Taylor from Modern Mouse Podcast, and Rebecca Goodman, and we reviewed all the shows. So if you have any questions regarding Summer of Heroes, hopefully we'll have answered them all.
Yes.
Might be a few spoilers in there, but not many.
Well, it's more a prep, like kind of preparing you if you are heading to Summer of Heroes, and if you can't make it, it's just a nice like, oh, this is what's happening here at DCA.
Yeah, so going into this, I knew nothing about Summer of Heroes. So this is the kind of show I would want to hear before going in, so I would know exactly what to expect.
Right.
All right, what else is coming up on our big Summer of Heroes extravaganza?
Our superhero episode, well, we will also have shout-outs, a Skywalker of the Week, and, of course, the superhero fun continues as we review Wonder Woman in Things We Want to Share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
The gods gave us many gifts. One day you'll know them all. This is where we keep them.
It's beautiful. Who would wield it?
Only the fiercest among us even could. And that is not you, Diana. You will train her harder than any Amazon before her. 5 times harder. 10 times harder.
Never let your guard down. You expect the battle to be fair!
Until she is better than even you. But she must never know the truth about what she is.
What is this place? Who are you?
It is our sacred duty to defend the world.
Right. Whoever you are in more danger than you think.
Be careful, Diana.
If no one else will defend the world, then I must.
What are you?
I am Diana of Themyscira, daughter of Hippolyta. In the name of all that is good, your wrath upon this world is over.
We've waited over 20 years, and now it's finally here. A live-action Wonder Woman standalone film.
Now, this was directed by Patty Jenkins, whose past credits include an episode of Arrested Development, which seems to be a training ground for directors going into big-budget superhero films.
Oh.
Because before her, the Russo brothers directed a few episodes before moving on to Marvel's Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good track record right there.
Yeah, I know. So, you know what? Now the other directors of Arrested Development going, hey, this is my shot now, too. I want to direct Howard the Duck.
I'm sure they're saying just that, Richard.
Well, I know I would be okay. And just a few years ago, Joss Whedon, director of the first 2 Avengers films, he also took a crack at writing the script for Wonder Woman.
That's right.
Yep, and in his version, the whole point of view was taken from Steve, the character, in this movie played by Chris Pine.
Okay.
Those are all taken from his point of view, not Wonder Woman.
Oh.
Very, very interesting.
Okay.
And I'm sure that script is somewhere out there in the interweb.
Right.
If you look for it, you will find it.
All right. Well, we know that many of you saw Wonder Woman over the weekend. So before we review the film, here is a box office update via Forbes. Now, the film has earned $129.4 million in 5 days domestically, and its worldwide total now sits at $283 million. And according to Scott Mendelson at Forbes, it should be above $300 million sometime today.
Give it a second. Give it a second. Wait for it. It just crossed the $300 million mark.
Yes. Yay. So that's exciting that this film has gotten that much.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about the biggest films of the year so far, Beauty and the Beast, Wonder Woman.
Yeah?
Do you see a theme going on there?
I do. And this film definitely has great word of mouth. So it's got a big buzz factor and it's got rewatchability. Like, I want to go out and see it again right now. But
all right, now, before we review the film, be forewarned, there will be spoilers. So let's roll in the Rob Dellinger spoiler alert.
Attention Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Attention Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
Now, with that out of the way, Sarah, what did you think of Wonder Woman?
Okay, well, first of all, before I get into my review, I kind of need to preface my Wonder Woman review with a little history. So here we go. History of Sarah. Here we go. So I have been a Superman fan since I was 4 years old, and I fell in love with Christopher Reeve and the Superman soundtrack. So I loved that portrayal. It was the 78 movie, right?
Yes.
It came out in 78, yeah. So then when Man of Steel was announced, and the whole DC universe was going to do DC films, right? And they were going to start it off with Man of Steel. Well, I was really excited about Man of Steel. I liked the actor that they had picked, Henry Cavill, and all kinds of things. So we went into the movie, we watched it, and I walked out, and my shoulders were all down, and I was sad, and it was like the biggest disappointment ever. Because to me, Superman is my favorite superhero, even over Thor. I know, it's hard to say.
All right.
So each, succeeding DC film is kind of sidelined Superman. Nothing ever lives up to that original 78 movie. So basically, cut to Wonder Woman now, which is also a DC Universe film, but everything looked good for it. I had high hopes, and I watched it, and basically I feel like Wonder Woman is everything that Man of Steel wasn't. It has that hopeful tone. It has a great score. I'm so excited about the score. And I love that period piece aspect to the film, Mm-hmm. And then also the characters just have such chemistry, and her outfit, even though it's a little, it's still bright. It's still exciting to see her costume. And I know we are all about the costumes, right? So I thought her costume was awesome. I'd like to use another word, but this is a family-friendly podcast. And overall, my thoughts of this film, are we doing an overall kind of review?
Let's get some general thoughts.
Okay.
Then we'll go into a discussion.
Okay, so yes. So overall, I loved this film. I'd see it again in a heartbeat.
Okay. Now, with me, I've been waiting for this film since the 90s. You know what? In the 90s, it was all about Wonder Woman, the live-action film, and the Star Wars live-action TV show. Well, we got one to date.
Okay.
So this is a film that's been in the works for so long, and when it was finally announced a couple of years ago, I was thrilled. So when I had gone to see it, I think my expectations were a little too high.
Oh no.
Yeah, so the film was good. When you're talking about DC movies, it's head and shoulders above the rest, which is not saying much.
Not saying much, no.
But if we're comparing it to Marvel films, now in my opinion, it's just not there.
Really?
It's just not there. Yeah, there were too many road bumps in the plot that had me saying, now, wait a minute, but hold on. Yeah, but. And the more speed bumps that I go through on a film with questioning plot devices,
the
more I'm taken out of it.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
We just watched Doctor Strange again last night, and I know when we reviewed that, it was kind of more of the lower end of Marvel films for us. So Wonder Woman versus Doctor Strange, which did you like better?
All right, first I gotta ask why you picked Doctor Strange.
Well, we had just watched it, basically, and the fact that Doctor Strange is an origin story, it's in the Marvel universe, so it's a comparable tale, I think. And the fact that when we watched Doctor Strange and ranked it among our Marvel films, we did not rank it very high. So when you say that Wonder Woman does not rank as high as any of the Marvel films, that's why I picked Doctor Strange as a good comparison.
It's a hard question because it all depends on where you are. Meaning, if you want an action-packed roller coaster of a movie, then you go with Wonder Woman.
But Doctor Strange is?
It is, but
same.
It's more cerebral than Wonder Woman. Plus, it delves more into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you're always thinking, okay, now that's going to connect to that, that's going to connect to that, which I love. I love watching a Marvel film and seeing how they all connect with each other.
Okay.
So on one regard, I like the puzzle that is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
But if I want to sit down and just have a good old time at the movies, Wonder Woman it is.
Okay.
It's more simplistic, which I think is sometimes better. Because when you want just escapism, you don't want to have to be thinking about what goes to what and what fits into what. You want to just sit down and watch some eye candy.
So for you, it kind of depends on what mood you're in as to which film you'd like better?
Right. It's like the Star Wars films. Which film do you like the best? Well, when are you asking me this? On a day when I've just had a horrible day at work and I just want to get my aggressions out, I'll watch Attack of the Clones. I'll watch that Clone Wars scene, which is shot brilliantly. But if I'm in a happy-go-lucky mood, I'll put it in Star Wars.
Okay. Well, that helps a little bit.
Hope that helped a lot of bit.
Let's talk some of the characters. So I guess we should start with our leading lady, Gal Gadot, as Wonder Woman.
She is just the perfect Wonder Woman. After Linda Carter, you wouldn't think that anyone could really match up to Wonder Woman. And there have been a lot of other casting choices with other variations that didn't go through. And each time was like, nope, 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 nope. But then you see Gal in the costume, it's like, yep, dead on. She is it. And she was very strong in the film, extremely strong. And notice that the reviews, and even right now, we're not objectifying her. She looked dynamite, fantastic in this suit. Whereas, if you notice, some of the female audiences will look at Thor or Captain America and all they talk about how hunky they are. So I'm noticing a difference here in males versus females and how they review some superheroes.
Okay.
Just saying.
So let's talk about the story of Wonder Woman.
The film started very, very strong. You have these Amazonian women they're training how to be warriors, which all leads up to this big battle when the Germans find a way into the island.
Themyscira.
Yeah. So now all these women, all these Amazonians are seeing these men, and they're carrying these weapons that hurt people. So all of a sudden, there's a huge battle that breaks out, and it's just dynamite. It's shot extremely well, very well paced, and I just loved every minute of this. All the buildup has matched what I've been seeing here.
Right.
But then we introduce Chris Pine's character named Steve. And when he entered the film, suddenly I was taken out of it because I'm just seeing Captain Kirk.
Oh,
now,
no.
Chris Pine is a great actor. But I don't think they needed a name in this role. And I think he was too big of a name. I didn't think they needed him.
Well, see, I thought his casting was great, and I thought their chemistry was great. Like a lot of him and his, band of miscreants that he picked up when Diana and he went off into the war. And then also his secretary. Like I thought all of the supporting cast was really strong.
Yeah. Well, see, they didn't use the supporting cast. Like Lucy Davis, who played Etta Candy, Steve's assistant.
Yeah.
Every single trailer had a great funny line from her. So I thought, oh, she's going to be the spunky, witty assistant that we're going to cut to every once in a while to get some levity. Well, after 2 scenes, she's out.
Right.
And I was really looking forward to having more of her in the film, but not so much. Now, in the beginning, when Diana is a little girl, she's played by Lily Aspel. Just dynamite. I thought the little girl was just phenomenal. And she's supposed to be playing 8, but I think she was more like 6.
Okay.
And she just captured the film right there. I could have watched a whole film with just her. She was that good. All right. Then we come over here to Danny Houston, who plays Ludendorff. You may know the name Danny Houston because he was in the Wolverine movies as William Stryker. Now, I'm looking at him going, all right, are you Marvel? Are you DC? There's nothing wrong with bouncing back to different universes, but if you're going to have an actor with a very distinct look, maybe not cast him as another character in DC, because I'm thinking, is this guy really William Stryker?
Okay.
Now, this was a perfect fish out of water film, because here you have Wonder Woman being taken from the Amazonian islands over to London. And what's the first thing she says?
Welcome to jolly old London.
It's hideous.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
We've just come from this Technicolor dream coat of an island, and here we are to foggy old dingy. Now this
London,
is in the 40s, so it's all war torn. That's why she didn't appreciate London for its beauty, because it was war torn when she entered.
Now, is it the 40s or is it World War I or World War II? Daniel Hyatt is saying that it was World War I.
You know, there was no mention of Hitler.
No, there wasn't. I was kind of looking for him.
Yeah.
So maybe 1914 is what
Paul Hoffman just said. Got to be 1914. So that would make more sense.
That would make more sense, because I was always waiting for someone to say Hitler is Ares.
Yeah. When we were watching the film and they kept mentioning the Germans, my head just went to World War II. But okay, so it's World War I.
But the Germans were also bad guys in World War I.
Right. But when you hear Germans in World War, you just think of World War II.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's a fish out of water. Now she's in our land. And her big thing is the reason why she's coming over to our land is because she thinks that Ares, the god of war, is over here. And her mission in life is to strike down and destroy Ares. So, okay, I got a mission. There's our plot. She's over here to destroy Ares. Now, I can see Chris Pine going, oh, wow, you're an Amazonian warrior? You want to come over here and fight our battle? Yep, he's Ares. Okay, sure. I can make you believe that. Although it wasn't really, that never came across. That's just how I played it out. But at some point, I wanted Chris Pine, to say, hey, this whole reason why you're here, because you think the god of war is here, you may call him Ares, but we call him Ludendorff.
Well, but Ludendorff wasn't in charge.
No, he wasn't, but he was the central villain.
Well, to the movie,
to the movie. So at some point, I wanted Chris Pine to tell Wonder Woman, your whole belief as to why you're over here, not happening. Didn't happen. I deceived you, and I apologize. So it's like that plot point never paid off. So she was over here, and okay, this is where there's a spoiler. Well, I won't spoil it too much, but she does something to Ludendorff that you can't come back from. So, okay, I gotta just go ahead and say this part. She kills him. She takes her sword and she drives it through Ludendorff's chest. But that wasn't really the man she was supposed to kill. That's when Chris Pine should have stepped up and said, oh, yeah, you know what? Thank you for doing my job, but that wasn't the right guy. I think we could have gotten another layer to the film had he done that.
But Chris Pine didn't know who was Ares and who wasn't. I mean, in my head, I was thinking, well, maybe like Ares is embodying someone in the war, like the head of the war.
Right, but I don't think Chris Pine's character really thought that through. He just thought, you want to come on over here with us? Okay.
Right.
You know, slip on the suit and let's go.
Okay.
So I felt like there was a missing piece there.
Okay.
Now let's take a step back, and I really did like this film. It was a lot of fun, nice to look at, but once again, like I was saying earlier, there were just too many stumbling blocks that I found. Like when, before she raced out into battle, there was this random woman sitting in the trench
with a
baby, and points, the enemy's over there. Okay, why are you there?
And that was weird.
Yeah, what with a baby? What, right in the front lines? Why are you there? So this is what I mean by stumbling blocks. Now I know you got to move the plot forward, but why couldn't Steve had said, "Oh yeah, those people who are firing at us, that's our enemy." Bam, no more stumbling block. Now let's talk about the costume.
Okay.
I love this costume, and I love that great Sam Peckinpah moment where you tilt up to reveal the hero and you see the costume.
Yeah.
So every good superhero needs that costume shot.
Okay.
And that's what he would always do, is just, like Wonder Woman, you saw her slam her foot on this rock, and then the camera would pan up to reveal her suit for the first time.
Okay.
A great shot. That's why I wasn't crazy about that first Batman film, the Christopher Nolan Batman film.
Right.
Batman is here again.
Batman Begins.
Hi, I'm Batman. What's it called?
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins, because it didn't have the introductory costume shot. But this film did, so I give it points for the costume.
Oh, good.
It had a lot of great moments where you would look up and there's Diana perched up on a hill or somewhere, and
nice long shots.
Yeah, great.
And then her fighting shots, like when she's like swinging around and kicking butt, and oh my gosh, amazing.
Right.
Yeah. So there was a lot of good shots of her costume, and of course, making the costume, I'm like looking at it like, ooh, what's going on there?
Yeah.
I'm just dissecting her costume, and it's so cool. Even her boots.
All right, now let's segue into something you like to talk about, Sarah. I like costumes, you like music.
Yes. Now, this score is by Rupert Gregson-Williams, and basically he is taking over from Hans Zimmer, who did the score for Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Terrible score. Ugh. I usually like Hans Zimmer, but ugh.
All right, well, come on. You're comparing it to John Williams, and that's just, no one is going to write a score as great as the John Williams Superman theme.
It's true. So, however, now Hans Zimmer did compose a Wonder Woman theme for Batman v Superman that we hear towards the end of that film. Now, what Rupert Gregson-Williams did is he based his score for Wonder Woman, or his theme for Wonder Woman, like tonally on what Hans Zimmer did, but in this film, Wonder Woman, she is not yet Wonder Woman yet. She's Diana. She's learning. She's, naive. And so that is why he basically made a different theme for Wonder Woman than what Hans Zimmer did. And I really love the score. It's like, to me, it's a return to an emotionally transportative score. I know that's like crazy words, but to me, in the film, there were several moments, I count 3 or 4, where I was watching and I was getting all teary-eyed, and I realized it was the music that was making me so emotionally attached to what was happening in the scene.
Yeah, I love the raw drums.
Yes. Yeah. So what's cool about he basically Rupert Gregson-Williams did a Wonder Woman theme that can be both played heroically and sad, depending on the instrumentation and how fast or slow it's played as well. So we heard those heroic moments, and in those heroic moments, you do hear those like Amazonian drums, for lack of a better word, and that was really neat. And there was also some parts of the score that what sounds like an electric guitar. it's kind of what you hear in the end of each Wonder Woman trailer. That kind of crazy electric guitar thing going on. So that was also present in the score as well as the trailers. So I was excited to hear that again because that really got me excited when I was watching the trailer. Let's go back to the Wonder Woman theme. Ultimately, it is the opposite of the Man of Steel theme. The Wonder Woman theme is very uplifting. It's made up of 3 phrases with ascending notes. So it's all uplifting because your notes are ascending the whole time. So
more importantly, it's not forgettable.
Exactly. It's not. So that's what I loved about the music. Was there any standout moments for you in the music?
Oh, I just love the war drums.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's a warrior. She's a warrior, and she needs an appropriately heroic, warrior
fighting song.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and she got it.
Yeah, she did. And the fighting drums, and yeah, it was really cool. So great job, Rupert Gregson Williams.
All right, now let's talk about cameos.
Okay.
There were none.
Was there supposed to be?
Well, I was kind of hoping for a Linda Carter cameo.
Oh.
I know she's busy right now with Supergirl.
Yeah.
But I would have loved a Linda Carter cameo.
But now that would have taken you out of it. Come on.
No, it wouldn't.
All the things that took you out of this film?
Okay, maybe it would have taken you
haircut?
out. But it didn't have to be a, hey, look what we're doing right now, like they do with Stan Lee. They wouldn't have to do that. It would just be a very simple cameo. There she is, and there she goes.
Right.
And do you know who else didn't appear in this movie? Anyone else?
Superman.
No more superheroes.
Well, Batman had not. He didn't appear.
No, he didn't. No,
But
it was mentioned that she got a letter in the very beginning from Bruce Wayne Enterprises.
Right.
But we never saw Batman, Superman, Aquaman.
It's true, but that is a connecting thread.
I know Justice League is coming just around the corner in November.
Right.
However, in superhero movies these days, it's backloaded with a ton of superhero cameos and just bit parts. And like in Superman versus Batman versus Flash versus Aquaman versus Mighty Mouse, they slipped in Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg. You didn't need that. They were just setting up Justice League.
Right.
All right, but you know what? Let's move on. Diana, aka Wonder Woman, she and Steve had great chemistry and some great moments of levity. Now, what scene was most memorable for you?
When they're in the boat on the way to London.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Because that was fun.
All right.
I loved it. It was hilarious.
Pretty much they're talking about sex.
Well, sleeping together.
Yeah, they never say sleeping together. Which after the scene played out, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, is this movie for kids?
Oh, yes, it is.
They're talking about sleeping together in her 12-volume set books regarding sleeping together and cuddling. I know kids won't understand the whole sleeping together scene.
They won't. I mean, speaking as a kid who has seen Grease and then now watching Grease, that stuff's gonna go over your head.
Way different times.
I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah, me too. I'm saying that too.
Grease is way more explicit about sex.
Yeah, well,
Amanda Bond.
Amanda Bond just came in on Facebook when we talked about sex.
The word sex. Best podcast ever. That's funny. Let's talk about that ending because I really loved those bookends. I loved how it was bookended in the present with Diana at the Louvre, and at the very end of the film, you get something that kind of sums up everything you have just seen in the film. And for me, like, I love when a film is a nicely wrapped little present. Like, everything has a beginning, middle, end. Everything fits perfectly with each other. And that's what that felt like to me, because what she says at the end just perfectly sums up what you have just seen. And I loved that. So I got tears in my eyes as I was walking out of the theater going, oh, man. And I saw another girl dressed as Wonder Woman down the hall. And I was like, yes.
Everyone was dressed as Wonder Woman at that screening. All right, now let's ask the big question.
Okay.
Was this the right time for a female-driven superhero film? Right now in 2017. Had this come out 5 years ago, how would it have played?
That is really hard to say. So 5 years ago, what films were out in terms of Star Wars? We hadn't had any of them yet, right?
Well,
the
nothing.
new ones.
Yeah.
The
We're going back to
new-
2012. We were thick into the Avengers films.
Right.
And we were getting Hulk, we were getting Thor and Captain America.
And we still had, I mean, Black Widow was there, but she
no
doesn't
signs
have
of
her-
Black Widow, no.
Well, she didn't have her own film.
No, but unfortunately at that time, we had some female-driven superhero films that just tanked big time.
Oh.
We had Catwoman with Halle Berry, Elektra with Jennifer Garner, and Tank Girl, which Tank Girl is a superhero, and that didn't do quite well. So at this point, they didn't have a good track record. But my whole point is, if this same film came out then, I think the answer is yes, it would have played very well. I would tend not to believe that people would stay away from this because it is a female-driven superhero. A good movie is a good movie.
A good movie is a good movie, and Wonder Woman herself is one of, the big 3 in DC?
Oh, yeah.
Is it Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman?
Yeah, those are
That's
the top
pretty much
3.
the top.
Right, so if you make a good movie...
They will come.
They will come. So, and I've been hearing all these things about how males are keeping the female superheroes down. It's like,
Yeah,
no.
I don't get that.
Yeah, that's why I asked that question.
Okay.
Because I don't think people really cared whether it was a male or female-driven superhero film. They want to see a good movie. If it's a good movie, they'll come out in droves like they just did. So I don't think the time is relevant.
I think that the social conversation, though, was ripe for Wonder Woman, honestly.
Well, yeah, because it's all about girl power now.
Yes.
We had Force Awakens, we had Rogue One.
So I think, if anything, it did maybe 10% better at the box office than it would have this opening weekend, because the social conversation is dovetailing with Wonder Woman coming out right now. And you've had The Force Awakens, you've had Rogue One, you've had some of these female-led, big-budget action movies. That's my opinion on that.
All right.
All right, now, we had a conversation on the way to Wonder Woman in which I brought up the fact that the Alamo Drafthouse in Austin, Texas had a couple female-only screenings of Wonder Woman, and I asked what you thought of that, and your answer kind of surprised me.
Yeah, is this where we should be right now?
I mean,
with just imagine a Thor screening with just males? Males can only be there? Come on. It's got to work both ways. If you're going to have a female-only audience, then what would happen if we had a male-only audience? Females cannot get upset if they're going to do the same thing to us. And after years of fighting for equality, is this the right move? And there was tons of backlash from guys who had the same point of view on Twitter.
Well, I know some guys on Twitter mentioned, like, oh, is this a smart idea? It's like you're not going to get that many people going to these screenings, but these screenings did sell out, so he was proved wrong.
How is this being equal now?
When you're excluding...
If men are being excluded.
Right.
Well, then it's not about equality.
Well, Paul Hoffman makes a good point that the female-only screenings kind of happened on its own, almost, because a lot of women came out to see the film.
That's one thing, but the Alamo Drafthouse in Texas,
right?
They did have a special screening that was female-only. It wasn't all females would come to the theater. If any guys want to buy in, well, we'll kick them to the curb.
Right. And actually, there is a New York law professor who filed a lawsuit against the Alamo Drafthouse for hosting those female-only screenings. The man said excluding men from the screenings is discrimination. He also said the Alamo Drafthouse theater chain harassed people who complained about the screenings. The chain declined to comment. Interesting. I wonder how they harassed people.
Yeah, well, they commented a lot, the Alamo Drafthouse, but their answer was always, "I'm sorry you feel this way. We are really, really sorry." That's not an answer.
Well, what else are they going to say?
Well, exactly. What else can you say? It wasn't the guy's fault that superheroes have always been a male-driven market. Mm-hmm. So there's always been the male-driven films. And little boys are the ones who are going to be buying the toys. So if anything, it's not a male-driven market, it's a business thing. if kids are going to buy the toys, if boys are going to buy the toys, that's who we've got to aim our films to, because we have stockholders to please. If the women films didn't do well, okay, you've proved yourself a couple of times that people didn't want to see those. Now, it just so happened they weren't good movies. So we got to always include that. But now here comes a great movie like Wonder Woman. It is a very historic movie.
Yeah.
It's the first female-driven film by a female director. And I think this is going to prove a lot of stockholders that, hey, females will buy toys.
And there are Wonder Woman dolls out right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can get them at Hot Topic. You can get Wonder Woman and her mom, Hippolyta, and one of the another Greek-sounding name.
But if there's a chance that the company might lose a dime, well, unfortunately, they're not going to go that way. And since these other female-driven movies hadn't done well, the stockholders weren't going to take a risk. And all these female movies are doing better and better and becoming more prominent. Now was the time for Wonder Woman. So the question I asked earlier, would this have worked a couple of years ago? Well, you know what? I still hold true to that. If it's a good product, people will come.
Right. And, I'd like to sum up, this conversation about female versus male in actually a quote from the director, Patty Jenkins herself. Now, this is from the Wonder Woman press junket that Nuke the Fridge attended, and they were at the press event, and Patty Jenkins just said that she did not make a woman's film. She made a film about a great hero who happens to be a woman. And she hopes that in the future, gender, race, body type, or sexual orientation won't be what's focused on. A hero can be anyone.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what Kathleen Kennedy, whose birthday is today, by the way.
Yes.
That's what she's been, when at the press conferences, when people ask her about female directors or female this, female that, she says, we want to go with a good story. We want to go with a good director. Let's take gender off the table
right
here. And I think that's the way it should be. Let's forget about female versus male when it comes to the film. Let's just make a good movie. And we're very fortunate that Wonder Woman, it was above the other DC films, and it made a lot of money. And all in all, it had a good, solid story.
Right. Now, I mean, hearing what Patty Jenkins says, I don't consider myself a feminist by any means, and partly this is how I was brought up. My parents always gave me girl and boy toys. I played with Lego, I played with Brio, Barbie dolls, and My Little Ponies. And they always taught me that I could be anything, much like Judy Hopps. I could be anything I could want to be. So honestly, I was surprised at myself at how emotional I got when I saw Wonder Woman kicking butt, in her scenes, in her outfit. Like, it was the same way I felt when Rey took hold of that lightsaber in the snow. So, I don't know. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I do believe that, gender and what you see does matter on some level.
To who?
To people who see it, who, if you can see it, you can dream it. So, like, a little girl who sees Wonder Woman taking charge in a situation will feel more empowered later on in life. I just think it's one of those things. It like teaches you things by showing you.
Right. So,
I mean, once again, I was very surprised at how emotional I got, and I'm not sure why, but I know deep down it was because she was a woman that was kicking some butt. So, yeah, so there's one way of talking about it, like, yes, it shouldn't matter, but ultimately I think it does.
All right, well, you know what? Everyone's opinion matters. If it matters to you, then it matters to you. There's no right or wrong.
Right.
I just don't want to see it going this way, the business going this way, because, this is the hot thing right now, so we gotta all jump on it, because then it's gonna be saturated, like superhero films. They're the hot thing right now, so let's saturate the market with all these superhero films.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, so anything else to add to Wonder Woman?
Well, only that I'm ready to see it again right now.
All right, and I've got to add that I just want to get to the point, like Patty Jenkins and Kathleen Kennedy said, let's just make films for everybody.
And a hero can be anyone.
Exactly.
I really love that. That
Yeah.
quote right there is where we should be heading toward as a society. I think that's the point.
Who is this young woman?
She's my,
Diana, Princess of Themyscira.
Prince. Diana Prince. If you believe that this war should stop, help me stop it right now.
Wonder Woman, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX 3D June 2nd.
Shoutouts, Skywalker shoutouts. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
Shoutouts. Okay, this time for shoutouts, we are going to start with YouTube, because on YouTube, you can comment on things. And so I want to bring up a comment on our Star Wars Land construction update video from May 30th, 2017. The comment was from Bruce Marshall, and he says that the white boom arm on the far right is not a crane. In our video, we were saying there was 4 cranes. Well, we are apparently wrong. And Bruce Marshall says it is actually pumping concrete through the hose on the end. And the concrete is going into that tall wood structure that looks like a wall. So we did see some wood walls, right? Mm-hmm. But the wall is actually a concrete form to create a wall. Think of it like an ice cream sandwich. The wood forms are the outside of that ice cream sandwich, and the concrete is the vanilla filling. And so I'm sure once the concrete is in there and set, they'll take the wood away and you'll just have like the big concrete wall. So cool, thank you, Bruce Marshall.
So they're pouring concrete, so they're making some great progress here.
Yeah. Super. I can't wait to go now and see what that wall looks like now that we know what they were doing. So I love posting these construction updates because we do have a lot of like people who are either in construction or know what's going on or engineers and can explain what's happening in a better way than we can just sitting there looking at it. So we want to thank Bruce Marshall and a couple other of the engineer-minded people who have commented.
So sorry if we call that big machinery thing a big machinery thing. That thing with treads on it and that heavy piece of metal.
Yes.
So now we're getting some names of these contraptions.
Yeah. Yay. All right, so that was YouTube. And you can comment on any of our YouTube videos. Just head to youtube.com/Skywalking through Neverland. All right, now on Twitter, we have Skywalker Selfies. Every week we ask you to stop what you're doing. Get out your phone. Take a little selfie. Right? I can do it right now. See? I can take a selfie. Hey, Richard, you want to be in my selfie? Ready?
Selfie, Skywalker selfie.
Okay, we just took a Skywalker selfie. And then what you do is you tweet that out with the hashtag Skywalker selfie. And you tweet it to @SkywalkingPod, because we're @SkywalkingPod on Twitter. And you just show us what you're doing while you're listening. We love that. And in fact, this week, we got a tweet from Mark Boomgarden. And he is @MBoomgarden on Twitter. He took a picture of him and his daughter on a trampoline with the caption, "Building a trampoline, hashtag Skywalker selfie." I thought that was so cute. So you must have had fun building that trampoline, you guys.
Boy, if we had a nickel for every time someone captioned their Skywalker selfie building a trampoline. For the record, this is the first time anyone's ever done that.
I know. We love it. All right. Also, we got another Skywalker selfie from Blake Riley, who is @Riley21106. And he tweeted, "Listening at work. Shh, don't tell my boss." And it's a picture of him by some intimidating machinery.
I think it was a drill press. Some kind of a cleaning device.
Yeah? Well, it looks like there's 2 things there. But anyway, we want to thank you, Blake, for tweeting your Skywalker selfie. So once again, hashtag Skywalker selfie. Take a picture. We're going to tweet this one out.
All right. Next, we go to our Who Jib alert.
Ooh.
All right. So
Hoojib alert!
If
Hoojib
you're
alert!
new to Skywalking through Neverland, this is where we tweet out "Make Hoojibs Canon." Hashtag Make Hoojibs Canon, because our goal in life is to make those furry little bunny rabbits from the Marvel comics and the 80s into the actual Star Wars canon. Now, before we were saying to tweet at Pablo Hidalgo, but I think we're making him mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, his last tweet had some expletives, had some curse words in it.
Right.
And he said, stop, something to the point of, stop tweeting at me, it's the job of the creature department. So, point being, let's turn it over to our good friends over at the Freemaker Adventures.
Okay.
Bob Roth and Bill Motz, who we just talked to a couple of weeks ago, who will be on an upcoming show, and they were kind of excited about having Hoojibs in the Freemaker Adventures. So guys, let's turn it to them, okay?
Yeah, so they are at Automatic Gravy and at Inevitably Bill on Twitter.
All right, so let's leave Pablo alone for a while.
Okay.
And at least if we get it into the canon adjacent, being the Freemaker Adventures, well, you know what? That's a win for us.
That's true. So just tweet out something, a picture. I know the Chica Fence have been tweeting pictures of various stuffed animals with the Hoojib ears on. And you could just use the hashtag #MakeHoojibsCanon.
Now, they did say in the interview that Hoojibs were mentioned in their very first episode.
Don't say.
So, but I do want to say that
Okay.
Hoojibs are on their minds.
Yes.
And they like the Hoojibs, so we have a good in there, okay? So there you go.
Okay. I like it. All right, well, is it time now for the Skywalker of the Week?
Roll it.
John Miller, what a guy. John Miller, whoa, what a guy. John Miller.
Well, congratulations to John Miller. Now, he got this honor because he helped us produce our upcoming Halloween episode. We are way ahead of ourselves.
How many months from now?
5 more months.
5 months, but he was very instrumental.
Yep, 5 more months.
5 months, wow.
Yeah, so John, there you go. And if you've been following us on Facebook, you may have gotten some clues as to where our Halloween episode is going. Not going to say it right now, but it's going to be exciting. So exciting that we recorded it in April.
Wow. Exciting.
So thank you once again to John, and soon, Sarah, you'll give him another hint to our Halloween episode by something you're going to do for TeePublic.
That's true.
There is a place where heroes have assembled. Spider-Man, Black Widow, Captain America, and Eddie.
So, what's the plan?
Breaking out the Guardians, pal.
Come celebrate the all-new Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout during the Summer of Heroes only at Disneyland Resort. Hero up!
Here we are at Disney's California Adventure, and we're going to recap Summer of Heroes with our good friends. Over here we have Josh Taylor from the Modern Mouse podcast on Network 1901. And we have, you know what, go ahead and say hello so we know your voice.
Hi, this is my voice. I'm from Modern Mouse.
And we have returning Anthony Fox from Mousepire podcast.
Hey.
And Rebecca Goodman.
Hello.
All right, so...
What about me?
Well, you're my sweetie wife. We all know who you are.
Okay, I just wanted to preface this by I'm here too.
Yes, of course you are. We're not going to leave you behind again.
Okay.
We lost you 3 times today at the Thor meet and greet, but you know what? I have you now.
Well, you know.
I have you now.
It is Thor.
It is Thor, right. So, let's now talk about Summer of Heroes. So, this just started on May 27th with the opening of the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout ride that overtook the Hollywood Tower of Terror. Was that a good decision, Josh?
I think it was a great decision. I think that this Tower of Terror wasn't as great as the Florida Tower of Terror. So being able to do the Guardians of the Galaxy and create a new experience that you can't experience anywhere else, I like it.
Yeah, very much so. And good timing. It opened up with the film, which is perfect. Unlike Cars Land, that opened up like 3 years after Cars 2. It missed it right there. Anthony, if you can get off your phone for a second, tell us your impressions of Mission Breakout. What did you think? This is your 4th time writing it.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. Tower of what?
Exactly.
I echo what he said. Obviously, I've said for a long time that the Florida Tower of Terror is superior in all ways, that this one is just like whatever. But, you know what, Mission Breakout, way better than the Tower of Terror we had, even way better than the Tower of Terror in Florida. Oh, I said it.
All right.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think it's way better?
Well, I mean, it's the theming. The theming actually works because, you know, I've always said that Tower of Terror was a great ride, but you know what? There was nothing particularly Twilight Zone-y about the story. It's just a story. I mean, there's nothing Twilight Zone-y about a bunch of guests disappearing in a hotel and then not appearing anywhere. I mean, there's nothing really, I didn't think that really was Twilight Zone-y about it. So, I mean, I think that the theming of this is much better. It all ties together. I mean, there's a lot of ties to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with Mantis being present. And then, obviously, the Collector has been established in the previous movie. Oh, and actually also in Thor Dark World. And then we know that there's kind of a connection between the Collector and the Grandmaster, who's going to be appearing in Thor Ragnarok coming up. So it's all connected, even if the ride isn't necessarily canon with the movies. There's still connections there, and it brings it all together. I just think it's a nice, more tight packaged experience than what Tower of Terror was.
Yeah, I recall hearing about this taking over Tower of Terror, and my first reaction was, about time. I think Tower of Terror was outdated a week after it opened. So I'm glad that they finally came to their senses and are now incorporating a lot of Marvel into California Adventure.
You know, the Tower of Terror ride, when it opened in Florida, was fairly new a few years after the Steve Guttenberg movie, which nobody even remembers.
Except for you.
Except for me and the young Kirsten Dunst. I'm sure she remembers that she was in it. But, I mean, that was obviously, you had the movie and then you had the ride come after that. But it was, yeah, like you said, when it opened here, it was already real old at Florida. It was way past the movie. And there was nothing, I mean, and, you know, people always like to say, and I know you're one of those people who made fun of me talking about, nobody remembers Woody Woodpecker. Well, nobody knows what Twilight Zone is.
I'm with you on that one. What are you bringing me into that?
I mean, granted, there was a Twilight Zone reboot in the early 2000s with Forrest Whitaker's hair, but nobody knows it's tying it into the Rod Serling Twilight Zone, right? Rather than, you know, if they would have had Forrest Whitaker in it, maybe then you got some topicalness going on, but no.
All right, now, go ahead.
Okay, one of the things I really like about Mission Breakout that really makes it stand out each time is the music. I mean, you get different music tracks every time. I think, Anthony, you and Becca have ridden it 4 times, and you've gotten 4 different music tracks. So that was really fun.
Right.
I mean,
you know what? Give an idea, a concept about Mission Breakout. What is the story behind this?
Okay, so the story behind this is Mission Breakout. Basically, what you're going into is the Collector's Fortress as VIP guests. So you're going to go, the premise is you're going to go on this tour of all of his collection. And while you're in his office, all of a sudden, Rocket comes out, and he has either escaped or he's broken in.
Yeah.
I can't. No, he's escaped. He must have escaped first because he was in the boxes at the beginning. So Rocket has escaped, and all the other Guardians are in Collector's boxes. They're like being held at the Collector. So Rocket's mission is to break out all of his Guardians. And so you are supposed to help Rocket.
Right. Now, when we're going into the lobby of the Collector's Castle, we see a whole bunch of fun stuff as we're waiting 3 hours in line. Or as we waited, 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Yes.
But the sign outside said 3 hours plus. So, as we're waiting in line, what exactly do we see? Rebecca?
Oh, you see Cosmo, and yes, he's adorable. And then you see the Ultron, one of the Sentries. Yeah, one of the Sentries, I thought that was really cool. And a bunch of other artifacts from movies and such. And
tie in the whole Marvel universe.
All right, you got references back to Doctor Strange, to Ultron, to Dark World, Thor Dark World, both Thor movies, actually.
And some stuff that may end up coming up in the future as well.
Oh, and then didn't we find there's kind of an Easter egg of a purple dinosaur? What's his name?
Barney.
I love you.
No.
Love
Figment?
Figment.
He's a dragon. But yes, close enough.
You love him and he loves you.
Oh, I see. All too much.
All too easy. And now there's things hanging up above us in boxes. Did we ever figure out what those were?
Random plants.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Most of them just look like plants of some sort.
But one of the boxes, that's where Figment is. So
Right.
you got to look way up high at the small box.
And for those of us who don't know Figment or haven't been drunk enough to ride the Figment ride,
The Figment from the Imagination ride at Epcot. What is that called?
It's Journey into Imagination.
Thank you.
With Figment.
Oh.
Yes. And that's the ride you can only enjoy if you're inebriated.
Yes.
True.
Kids, if you're going to be over 21 to be inebriated, okay?
Otherwise, it's a figment of your imagination.
Exactly. All right. Yeah, so we do see, like you said, Rebecca, Cosmos. It was like a full-size Cosmo sitting in a box, and
his head moves.
His head moves, and if he blinked, he would look realistic. For a second there, I thought that was a real dog in that case, until I realized that would be very inhumane. But the animatronics and his hair and the way he's moving, I love that.
Yes.
Now, what's the one thing we do? Well, should we spoil it and say one thing that we don't see in Collector's Lobby?
No.
Well, I mean, a certain duck not named Donald, you mean?
Yes, a certain duck not named Donald was not in the Collector's foyer that I really was hoping for. Arg. All right. So you wrote it 4 times, Anthony, and like Star Tours, each time it's a different experience. It's a different song and a different storyline going on within the visuals. So tell us, once we're in the ride, what exactly are we seeing?
Well, we're in an elevator once again, just so you can still incorporate that idea, but it's more of what they call it a gantry elevator rather than it was a service elevator in Tower of Terror. But it's the elevator that's going to take you up to all the levels to see all of the Collector's collection. But Rocket obviously wants to hijack the elevator so he could take it down to the power core and break the power core. And then after he breaks the power core and everybody gets out, it's just hijinks galore, basically, where all these creatures and the Guardians are fighting all these different creatures and all kinds of cool stuff. And
so we see 3 vignettes as the car's going up and down and stopping, doors open, and there's the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, what exactly are they doing, Rebecca?
They're standing there in their boxes.
Well, it changes around
Yes.
what they're doing depending on which one you're seeing. So sometimes, they're still in their boxes, and then you see them get broken out. Another time, I think they were already broken out, but they were fighting a big monster, or that big creature that you see at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
The one that looks like a giant Rathtar.
Yeah. And then you wrote it, Josh. Did you notice anything about those?
I just noticed that, like, a lot of the things that you even find in the queue, because the idea in the ride is when you let out the Guardians, you're also letting everything out of their box. And so you do see some of the stuff even in the queue moving around. So you get to see Cosmo or Howard or some other creatures, depending on, what you might have seen in the queue. Just look for those little things somewhere in the background.
Nice.
So between all of us, we've seen 5 of the 6 variations. And so far, we have not seen the duck not named Donald.
Right.
Don't want to give any spoilers away. That was very subtle.
That's true.
What songs did we hear per ride? What were the first 2 songs you heard, Anthony?
On ours, it would be Free Ride and We Want the Funk.
Yeah, I forgot what the first one. We Want the Funk.
We Want the Funk, and then Free Ride.
And Free Ride, which I think Free Ride so far has been the most intense of all of them, because we haven't mentioned yet that the intensity of the ride is dictated by the intensity of the song that is playing. So you could either have kind of mellow when the Jackson 5, or what song is it, the Jackson?
Oh, baby, da 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 da.
Yeah, that one.
What the name of the song is.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah. That I Want You Back?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackson 5, I Want You Back. That one was kind of the most mellow one we've been on so far. And then, like I said, Free Ride was probably the craziest.
Yeah, when we were in the gift shop, I heard some people talking about how so far Free Ride was their favorite experience.
Okay.
And then today...
That one gave me heartburn.
No, that was the Chimichangas.
Oh, right.
Now, what 2 songs did we hear today? I'm already forgetting.
We heard I Want You Back and Born to Be Wild.
Born to Be Wild.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm so glad you remembered that.
We should write this down.
Yes. And Josh, what song did you hear? You heard something different.
I heard Hit Me With Your Best Shot, which was kind of I've heard a medium as far as level of intensity.
Okay.
So there's one more.
Yes. But we're not sure
I didn't look at the track listing. They released the track listing about 2 weeks before the ride opened, but I refused. I didn't look at it because I didn't really want to know.
What song do you hope it is?
I don't know. I mean, most of the best songs that they've been using in the Guardians have been some song from the movie Dazed and Confused. So I hope it's another song from Dazed and Confused.
All right. What are our other favorites that we hope will be included?
Cherry Bomb would be a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
want My Sweet Lord. That was my favorite part of Volume 2, and I really want to see that. But that might be hard to get copyrights too. I know they have it for the movie, but to use it for the ride as well, that might get a little pricey at that point.
Yeah.
Well, even some of the ones that they're not using in the ride itself, the 6 songs in the ride, they're still using other recognizable songs from the movies in either the queue or in like the awesome dance off or like exiting or because like we heard the Chain on the way out. Yeah, we heard Fleetwood Mac on the way out.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously during the dance off they do Cherry Bomb not Cherry Bomb. Cherry Bomb was in the first movie though, but they did Fox on the Run.
Okay.
So
all right. So when we finished the ride, we went outside and we saw the dance off that you were just mentioning. That
Guardians of the Galaxy awesome dance off.
Yeah.
With Star-Lord and Gamora.
All right. And Sarah, what happened during that awesome dance off Volume 1?
Well, I was excited because Star-Lord and Gamora came out, and it was their first show of the day. We were 9:45 a.m., so they were a little sleepy at first, but then Star-Lord started getting everyone into dancing, and unfortunately I was recording video because I wanted to dance. Like, he was getting everyone into it. All the crowd was doing dance moves, and you got, your songs that you hear from them.
You were periscoping, I was videotaping, so between the two of us, we got you covered, Skywalkers. We got you covered, so by now I'm sure you can see this on our YouTube page.
Our YouTube channel,
channel, yes, thank you. All right, so now back to the dance-off.
Okay.
All right.
So what was the story of the dance-off? Like, there was something was... Okay.
I think that what happened is that this is supposed to take place after they've broken out.
Okay.
And now they're coming back because Star-Lord left behind his boombox.
Oh.
So I think that's why, from Gamora's dialogue, it seems that they've already broken out and they're trying to leave the planet after having broken out of the fortress.
Gotcha.
Because between Gamora's dialogue and then what Rocket says, they want to leave. But Star-Lord is trying to get his boombox back because,
makes sense.
Obviously, spoilers for the movie, he doesn't have his... Well, no, because he has it. He must have a new one. I don't know. It's his Zune.
Well, and then, once you are out of the Collector's Fortress, now he knows. So now the Collector is looking for all the Guardians. So now that, that's the ships flying over and stuff. Yes. So you hear his sound effects. And then I guess the only way to defeat the Collector and his ships is by dancing.
Right. Because that makes a whole lot of sense.
By the way, I just want to note on the sound design. The sound design on that show is one of the best, probably the best sound design for any non-stage show that I've ever seen Disney do, because the surround sound they do for the ships flying around, especially the first time you hear the ships, where it's all around you, is amazing.
And we should just note that is done right in front of Mission Breakout, right in front of that sign. that used to be the Hollywood Tower of Terror sign. So it's not on a stage, it's not on a theater, it's just right
one
there.
of those pop-up street performances.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
They're literally just performing on the corner.
And then one of my favorite parts was the end, where we got a surprise visitor.
We did.
We got Groot!
We are Groot.
Yeah, so this 9-10 foot tall Groot comes walking into the scene. It was just amazing. It was a puppet / costume, and his mouth moved. Yeah, he was on stilts, and it was just really, really fantastic. Now they've perfected the eye blinking within the Mickey Mouse and the Minnie Mouse. I just wished my big thing is the eye blinking. Because I've always, working in the special effects business, I would always be upset when no one was operating the eye mechanisms. Like, creatures' eyes, they blink. And Groot never blinked. He had the wide awake, I've been up for 15 hours look.
Oh, it didn't bug me at all. I was like drawn straight into his eyes, and he came out, and I wasn't sure if you could touch him because it seems very fragile, but he reached out and took my hand, and then he gave us a big hug.
Yeah, I didn't want to let go. Now, did you notice something about Groot? He had like a pine smell to him.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not notice that.
I did not notice that either.
I'll have to go visit Groot again.
Okay. All right.
Did you visit Groot, Josh?
I have not visited Groot. I've seen him from a distance. But again, the eye thing doesn't bother me because I think I'm looking at so much. There's so much detail in the costume. That
It's like so close, and I love it, but it's like, just go the extra mile and just make some eye mechanism. I know it's easier said than done, and I've worked on eye mechanisms for masks like that, and it's not easy, and they break extremely easy. So I'm sure that has something to do with it too.
I feel weird trying to stare at characters' eyes because I know that 9 times out of 10 the operator's eyes are not there, so I feel like I'm just staring at some lifeless eyes. And speaking of lifeless eyes, he had almost like shark's eyes. Yeah, black like doll's eyes.
I didn't get that at all.
Whenever I meet characters, I'm like right into that moment. I'm that 6-year-old or 48-year-old and just loving every second that I'm with this character because I want to believe that it is real for those few moments.
Right, because I mean he was giving me that interaction when he noticed my Duck Not Donald button.
Well, the duck doesn't spoil it here.
No, it doesn't spoil it. I'll have a Howard the Duck button, and Groot noticed my Howard the Duck button, and he's pointing at it, and I feel like I want to look up and make eye contact with him, but I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm trying to get some emotion out of the character, or if I'm trying to get some emotion out of the operator. I'm just confused, and I just wanted to run away.
Well, that's why I just go into that mode of this is the real character.
Yeah, you got to do that.
All right, what do we think about the casting now that we're kind of looking behind the scenes? What do you think about the casting for Star-Lord and Gamora? Becca?
It depends on what Star-Lord you get. Because the one we saw was the Seth Green Star-Lord. Yes, the one we saw today.
What does that mean?
Well, he's really short, and he's not as energetic as the other one. And his voice is kind of high. The other Star-Lord actually sounds more like Chris Pratt, and he's a bit taller, and he's way energetic, so I kind of prefer him.
Yeah, the other Star-Lord that we've seen besides the one we saw today, he's kind of like Chris Pratt with sideburns.
Okay.
And he definitely gets a little bit more into it. Now, both of the Gamoras that we've seen, I thought were pretty good. Yeah. They have that. They kind of.
She doesn't do much.
Well, she doesn't do much, but she does a lot without doing much because she has to stand there and seem disgusted. And they both have done really good jobs of seeming disgusted and indifferent with what Star-Lord is doing there, risking their lives for a stupid boombox and all this dancing, human dancing.
Yes.
And the whole show itself was what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 minutes or so. The interesting thing about it, though, like with these characters, is so like when you look at like the Star Wars characters, they never do the face characters because it's so hard to pull off, right? Like who's going to be Han Solo or Princess Leia? Yeah. So they always do the non-face characters, but here they've chosen to do all face characters but Groot, and it is difficult to pull that off because if it doesn't look like Chris Pratt, you don't necessarily buy in.
Right.
So Yeah.
Unless the attitude comes off, because Star-Lord Peter Quill has got this very distinct personality. If you can get a performer who can get that, like when we see Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, looking at him, we may say, that's not Han Solo, but when we see him acting like Han Solo, we can just forget all about his looks and go, well, it's the characteristic, it's the acting that pulls it together, and now that is Han Solo.
Well, then you get, when you go like to Universal and you got down there with the Raptors, and then you got the guy out down there trying to prat it up too much, and it's a little bit too much on the nose, where he's trying to emulate Chris Pratt from Jurassic World too much. Okay. But I think these guys are doing a pretty good job of trying to keep it, they're trying to be like Star-Lord, but they're not trying to go over the top, but then they're also not going too much.
Right.
So when you're Universal looking at those Raptors, you're looking at the Pratters, not the Velociraptors?
Well, it depends. If they're doing their little shtick, then it's the whole show together. You're looking at the Raptor and you're looking at the quote-unquote trainer pratting it up way too much.
All right, good deal.
Too much with the arms outstretched. It's too on the nose.
All right, now, back to Summer of Heroes.
Yes.
I keep wanting to say Heroes of Summer.
That's okay.
Is that a Don Henley song? All right, so Summer of Heroes. What else does Summer of Heroes have to offer?
Well, we have Avengers Training Initiative, which is basically Jedi Training Academy that is now heroized. However, it's not quite as good, unfortunately. Like, we were all excited to see this, maybe see what all the superhero kids, what they were going to do as superheroes. And so what we get is Black Widow and Hawkeye, and then a bunch of agents, Shield agents,
yeah.
Thank you. And they're teaching their quadrants of kids how to do different moves.
Kids?
I know, silly kids. Ugh. Well, regardless, they got some punch moves and then throw the shield, and then they got to do, what was it, the other, was it a Hawkeye thing?
There was the Iron Man, evade, and thrust.
Iron Man, evade, and thrust, and then at the end you got to do a big Hulk roar.
Yeah, so these are all fighting stances.
Yes, so that's what they learned. However, the kids never really got to implement all those things against a bad guy like you do in Jedi Training Academy.
Yeah, the only thing they really get to do is throw the shield.
So then they get the little frisbee shields.
Yeah.
And against the bad guy, which is not a cool Darth Vader strutting around. Oh no.
No.
It's who is it?
No, it's a Hydra Dalek.
It's Zola. Zola, basically.
Right. Zola's on the screen, so you don't actually have a physical Armin Zola. You have Zola in the computer, and he sends out and there's a
an infiltrator.
I keep wanting to say Shield, but for some reason they're not using Shield.
Okay.
Well, because they're Avengers. They're originally Avengers agents, but they should be Shield. But yeah, one of them ends up being one of them ends up being a Hydra traitor. So you got that guy, and then, like I said, you got a little robot that comes out that's powered by kryptonite for some reason.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back to this, because was it supposed to be a robot? Because there was a stagehand or someone pushing it out to the middle of the stage, so I wasn't sure.
The agent. That was the bad guy agent.
Okay, so I wasn't sure it was supposed to be like a Dalek type of robot or like just a big power generator.
I thought the power generator like a bomb, that had been powered.
I thought someone had to roll it out onto the stage.
I don't think that they made that plain enough.
No, the fact that we're questioning it is unclear. But
then the Hydra infiltrator got away?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
Did he get away or not?
His trick didn't work. And you can see it on our YouTube channel because we're going to post this show. But
what happened as opposed to what was supposed to happen?
At one point, he was going to go up a rope and really, really high up on the stage.
Yeah.
And he had put his safety wristband around his neck, and he's like standing there, guys.
And it never worked.
And it never worked. And Black Widow's like right next to him, and she says, "Oh, he got away." He was right there. It was really fun.
For that shield, the Hydra infiltrator, I think he pulled it off really well, because I thought, oh, is this part of it? Because he looks over at Hawkeye, who's just standing there, and I'm thinking, Hawkeye, do something about this. And oh, wait a minute, this is not working. But the Hydra guy gave that look of, I'm gonna run, bye.
It's very Napoleon Dynamite of him. Yeah.
Right.
And it was just really funny to see him kind of winded and obviously late to his mark appearing upstairs.
Yes, later.
Because obviously if he goes up the rope right away, he's there a lot quicker than having to run to the back and run upstairs and get upstairs.
And then that's when the Dalek comes out, and the kids are all having to throw their foam Captain America shield frisbees at him. But you're right, they never used those fighting stances that they learned earlier to defeat the villain.
Yeah.
And, we're totally burying the lead here and skipping the most entertaining, I say that sarcastically, of course, part of the show, and that's them putting the little batteries into the thing so we could power up the computer or whatever. They didn't make that very plain either, what we're trying to do.
It's
but
basically a matching game that they had the kids do.
Game.
Yeah, well, that was down below where that should have been up on the stage.
No, it was at 4 quadrants. It was up on the stage.
Oh, okay, because I was looking at the kids down below, so that's where I was videotaping, so I didn't know that they were up there.
The thing that really bothers me about that whole sequence, though, is that there's nothing really entertaining for the audience in that part.
It's definitely a kid's thing, yeah.
It's a kid's thing. It's entertaining, I'm sure, for the parents, but there's nothing entertaining for the crowd. At least with, like, Jedi Training Academy, all you're fighting with the kids and stuff, it's always entertaining. Yeah. But this was very not entertaining for the crowd. The crowd is just sitting there, like, dead for the whole, 2 minutes or whatever this whole, or 5 minutes this whole thing's going on. To me, the whole game, quote-unquote game, it reminds me of something. What was that show, Temple of the...
Oh, Hidden Temple.
Yeah, it reminds me of Legends of the Hidden Temple. It seemed like a Legends of the Hidden Temple or like a Nickelodeon show game or something like that.
Right.
And it's just it doesn't belong in a live show in front of audience that's trying to stay focused.
Well, yeah. I mean, out of all the bad guys you could see, one of the main things in a storyline is you need that conflict, and you need a good bad guy to really glom up against. I mean, Jedi Training Academy, you have Darth Vader, you have Darth Maul, or you have the Seventh Sister. Like, there's 2 really awesome villains.
And the key thing about that is they're all still visual, between Darth Vader and Darth Maul and the Seventh Sister, whereas now you're getting the most visually unappealing. Right. And I say that to kids. Like, would you rather look at Hawkeye or Captain America? Yeah. Would you rather look at Black Widow or someone like Thor? Someone who's got a big costume. Right. That would have been the show.
Yeah, because at least they in story, they explain why Iron Man's not there.
Right.
But there's nothing to explain. Where's Captain America? Where's anybody else? That's a little bit not to say that Black Widow and Hawkeye are not important characters.
No, I didn't say that. I said they're both out of all of them. They're the ones that are visually unappealing because they don't have the big colorful costume.
Right, exactly. I mean, they're dark characters. Yeah. When you could have had like Cap or somebody else. I mean, granted you already have a guy in a Cap costume right around the corner, literally doing photo ops. Why couldn't that guy be in? Why couldn't they have that?
And Spider-Man too? Oh, that place would have been flooded with kids. And I'm sure any kid walking by, and if their mom had said, "Hey, do you want to go see this?" No. They're all wearing black outfits. Is this a rehearsal or is this the show?
If you can have 2 separate people playing Black Widow, one to do the little procession with her vehicle and do a photo op, and then have a totally separate person playing Black Widow in the show, you could easily have had Captain America, a separate person using the same costume as the photo op Captain America to be in the show. Because then if you had Captain America and Black Widow, you got more of a balance there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, do we think this is more of a beta test? So when they got all their beats down, then they'll sub in the more visually appealing characters?
I wouldn't say that they might sub anybody in. It is definitely a beta test, and they certainly have a lot of work to do. Listen to my podcast to hear more.
So this opened on May 27th, and it's now May 30th. So it's only been going for 3 days.
Yeah, they did soft openings of that show on Wednesday. So they've been doing that show for almost a week now, and yet there's still a guy standing off to the side taking notes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. That means that they're always wanting to up it. They're seeing what works, what doesn't work. And maybe the next time we're not going to do that whole color matching 5-minute ordeal that went nowhere.
Yeah, they definitely need to get rid of that whole.
So that was that. What else does Summer of Heroes. It's like TCL, Man's Chinese Theater, IMAX Deluxe, caffeinated.
Yes.
All right, so what else do we have going on here? Josh?
You've got a personality test booth. I don't remember the exact. I think it's the Hero Action Center, but it's a pretty long line right now. But I'm assuming that in the next few weeks or whatever that the line will go down. But you could basically go up. It's a 10-minute quiz. You figure out what character and what personality trait you are. They match you with a character with that, and then you get a sticker or what they call a badge, a sticker, and you get a free comic book.
Wow.
Good deal.
Did you do this?
I did do this.
And
I
what are
am Doctor Strange.
Oh.
What does that say about you?
I don't know what it says about me.
Okay. Anthony, what superhero do you think you would be?
Well, I don't mind being Doctor Strange because I myself am strange and unusual. But we haven't done that yet, so I don't know who I would get. I just want to throw in a little note here, a little tip, that when you get the comic book, you can go across the street to Off the Page because they do have bags and boards there because they sell comics. Oh. So a little tip, if you get your comic from there, you can go across the street and buy a bag and board from Off the Page to put your comic in so you don't destroy it.
Right.
Nice.
So now after the Avengers Initiative show, we went over to Off the Page because they had drawing lessons.
The Animation Academy,
Right.
which is right next to Off the Page. Yeah, apparently for the drawing lessons now, instead of Olaf or instead of Mickey, you're now getting to draw one of the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe. So I think I saw a picture of Groot the other day, and I would love to learn to draw Groot. So I'm excited to go do that. However, today it's closed for refurbishment or whatever it's closed for. So unfortunately, we are not going to be able to do that today, but that only means we get to come back, try some more food, try some more Bifrosties, and go draw Groot.
Yeah, and maybe next time I'll get me one of those Howard the Ducks. I really want one of the little plush Howard the Ducks.
I want the plush Howard and the plush Cosmo.
Yeah.
See, and I like the plush Groot.
But we already have a dancing rock and roll baby Groot.
I know.
So
Yeah, I think with those plushes that the Rocket and the Groot are kind of like whatever, because there's been plenty of Rockets and Groots. It's Howard and Cosmo are the stars of those plushes because of the fact that they haven't been done before.
All right, so now to wrap this up,
yes,
from 1 to 10, Sarah, what do you give Summer of Heroes? 10 being the best.
Okay, I would say a solid 7 right now because it's early and the Avengers Training Initiative just kind of sunk it a little bit. So when we were doing Mission Breakout and the Awesome Dance Off and Groot, just meeting him, like those are 10s. Those are total 10s, and then it just took it down a notch a little bit later. But so if you just do those things, oh my gosh, you've got a 10 experience.
Right, and if you had to give it a one-word sum up, what would it be? And everyone think about yours too.
I have to think on that.
Okay, Josh, between 1 and 10, what do you give Heroes of Summer? I'm sorry, Summer of Heroes at the TCL Man's Chinese Theater.
The Summer of Heroes, I would say 6. Like you said, if it was just the Guardian stuff and what they're doing with the dance-off, the Groot, and everything, I would give it 9 to 10. Even there, there's still some things that I think are going to improve over time, but the Summer of Heroes area seems like it's a work in progress.
I think you guys are applying way too many percentage points to the Avengers Initiative show, because I would give it probably a solid 8 because I don't really apply that many points to the. Otherwise, if I were to factor in the Avengers Initiative, the Avengers show, and all of the employee Kevins that we've been experiencing, I would knock it down to like a 5 or a 4, just because of that stuff. If I were to really apply a lot of emphasis to that, but the ride is way too awesome. The Star-Lord's awesome dance-off is way too awesome. And so far, the food offerings have been way too awesome to me not to give the whole experience an 8. And to just kind of that little 2 just to account for the rude employees and the super bad show.
All right, now sum it up in one word.
Awesome.
Okay, we didn't get your one word, Josh.
Oh, I was actually going to say awesome, but I will say interesting.
Interesting. All right, Rebecca, 1 to 10, what do you give it?
I think like a 7.5. because I don't know if I really include
Always
the
with
ride.
the decimal points.
Well, I don't know if I really include the ride in Summer of Heroes because the ride's almost a separate thing.
The whole experience.
Yeah, but it's part of it.
It's part of it, though.
But I mean, if it were just everything else, I mean, I love the dance off. The dance off is really cool. Groot is really, really cool. The Black Widow thing when she comes out with the with the truck that we didn't really talk about. That I don't think that's awesome that much because
What's to talk about?
No, she doesn't really do anything. She just kind of directs this lazy car to go down the street, and you're like, what's happening? And you're like, oh, she's gonna go to a cool mission, but no, she's just walking.
Causes me to get clotheslined by cast members.
All right, now I would give it an 8, and the word I would choose would be age appropriate. Now the Avengers show, it's hyphenated. It's one word. Okay. The show we saw, the kids were loving it. They had a good time with it. So it wasn't really meant for us. It was meant more for them. The dance-off was really fun to watch. The ride was spectacular, and we didn't do the personality action center test.
No.
So I think I would give it an 8, and those 2 extra points would just be to tighten things up. Yeah. Maybe get more characters involved. Right now they're focusing too much on Black Widow and Hawkeye, but you have all these other characters to bring in. Why are we not seeing Thor out here? Why are we not seeing Captain America?
Oh, if Thor were here, I'd give it a 10.
So I think they could do more with it. I think right now it's still in the testing phase. Yeah. So I give it an 8 because, like I said, it's age appropriate and the kids were having a great time with it. I would definitely recommend it, even for the adults. If you know going into it, if you listen to this and go, okay, now I know what to expect, I think you'll get more out of it. I was expecting more heroes, personally, when we got here. So I was not let down, but it's like, all right, I just wanted more.
Okay. And, I found out my word is super for superheroes.
That's more of a DC word. So the word you're looking for is?
What? Power.
Marvelous.
The
word is marvelous. Why don't you get it?
You can read his lips better than me.
I knew it. You know what? I'm gonna say Excelsior.
That's what I was thinking.
If they were gonna add one more thing to this, let's just quickly go around the table. What would you like to see?
I want to see Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay. As a meet and greet?
That would be anywhere. A meet and greet, in the show, a show by himself, doing something by himself. I just want to see Doctor Strange. And I just want to add real quick a quantifier that they have said that Summer of Heroes is designed to have additions added to it, and they have implied that things are gonna it's in motion. Right, it's fluid, so they have left it open for things to come in.
All right, so Rebecca, DCA comes to you and says, what do you want us to add? What do you say?
I want to see Spider-Man in the show doing parkour and stuff. That would be super cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Josh, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I would say more fight scenes, more of the actual action. We saw more of kind of like what you would say, like with the initiative show, it's much more of kids' martial arts practice, right? Versus I would like to see actually more fight scenes, maybe just in the streets. Yes. The idea of the dance-off being just this thing in the street is fun. So maybe just, take over the Hollywoodland area and just fighting in the streets and things that get the crowd kind of around them.
See, that's what I was going to say. I thought they would want to test the Star Wars land activities and have just things popping up in the streets at a given time. Maybe Spider-Man zips from one building to the other. Maybe have a battle between Captain America. He's running down the street after a couple of Hydra agents. Just things going on to make you feel like you're in that world.
Yeah, and also Thor, maybe Thor, Captain America.
Thor.
No, stop it. Doctor Strange, against Loki somewhere. I'd love to see bad superhero like Loki, or a villain, not a superhero. But you need that.
Or a whole bunch of Ultrons running around. Oh,
amazing.
In fairness, this is all stuff that I'm sure we'll see when we get a Marvel Land. So it's all things that are just kind of It's all in motion right now. It's just like it's a small scale. It's something to throw at us. This is almost like Season of the Force, exactly. And you know what? Honestly, we didn't really get that much with Season of the Force. I mean, we didn't get a new show. We got a new Jedi training that added elements of Rebels, but we didn't really get anything new. We didn't get anything like the awesome dance-off or anything like that.
Right. A supersized gift shop.
Right. So, I mean, we're not really getting anything. We're getting actually more things extra with Summer of the Heroes than we did with Season of the Force. So we do have that going for us. Plus, we got a brand new ride rather than just Star Tours with an extra thing or Space Mountain with an extra thing.
Right.
So we got a brand new ride to go with it. So to me, actually, I would say, even though, I mean, we're obviously big Star Wars fans, but I would say that Summer of Heroes, despite having its issues, I think Summer of Heroes is better than Season of the Force.
Okay. All right, now to really wrap this up, on the count of three, everyone say Avengers Assemble. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Avengers Assemble! And then Neverland on Alderaan. So do it in that order. All right, thanks everyone. Come visit Summer of Heroes at Disney's California Adventure.
We're heroes of summer.
It was hard enough getting it out the first time.
Say hi to Kevin.
All right, Sarah, with that, let's do a shorter episode. It's summertime now.
Yes.
And our schedules are just crazy busy. So our 2 hour plus episodes might come down just a little bit because of, we got to work to support the podcast.
It's true. And this is when we work in the summer months. Ah! So, that wraps up episode 172 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We would like to thank Anthony Fox of the Mousepire podcast, Rebecca Goodman, Josh Taylor of Modern Mouse Radio, and we'd also like to thank all of you for tuning in.
Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you taking 2 hours plus out of your schedule and listening to us. Much appreciated. And while you're listening to us, you can listen to some other great podcasts over there at retrozap.com. You can hear Brews and Blasters,
the Sandcrawler podcast,
Beltway Banthas,
the Deuce Cast movie show,
Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels,
Kanata's Castle,
Techno Retro Dads,
and Talking Apes TV,
which should be coming out next week.
That's what you said last week.
I know. So everyone go on Facebook, go to our Talking Apes TV Facebook page and say, Mark, come on, get the lead out. He's the one who edits the shows.
Aww. Well, you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland and some of our videos at jedinews.co.uk. Ooh, and a reminder, speaking of videos and YouTube, please be on the lookout for our archival rewind this week, which will feature something that Richard has videotaped from the 1980s.
And beyond.
And also on our YouTube channel, we have Star Wars Land construction updates. We have all the videos to our Summer of Heroes that we went to. So, like, if you want to see what the awesome dance-off is like, or
the Avengers Initiative show.
Yeah, the Avengers Initiative show. And even we have the ride video if you are one who likes to watch those ride videos. So head on over to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland.
And Sarah, what if they watch a video and want to reach out to us?
Oh my goodness. Well,
what would they do?
They can do that on Twitter or Instagram. We are at Skywalking Pod. We also have our Facebook group, which is a great place for you not just to get to know us, because we're very active there, but also other Skywalkers. So you can make friends. You can have meetups wherever you are sometimes. Like, we've got Skywalkers initiating meetups in different places. It's so exciting. And to do that, you just search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland group, and you request to join. And then there are questions that pop up that you must answer before we can let you in the group. So make sure you answer those. We are looking. And you can also email us. We are share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
And they can also go over to iTunes and tell us what you think about us in a review.
Yay.
Leave us as many stars as you want. Tell us what you think. And
always remember to stay tuned for bloopers.
And
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
So get it out of your system now, and put most of the complaining on your show.
It will be.
Then, okay.
It will be.
Right.
Don't worry.
No worries, I figured. I just wanted to preface it. Okay.
Don't worry. Skywalking Through Neverland is a positive.
We're a family-friendly, fun-filled show.
Ours is family-friendly, but...
No, it's not.
All right, and here we go. Here we are at Disney's California Adventure, and we're going to recap Heroes... Summer of Heroes. What do I...
All right.
Okay, here we go. One more time.
Oh, but for those of you who's wondering, because, you know, it's Wonder Woman Day, so I need to show off.
Oh, of course.
I need to show off the lasso dress, which is awesome, and I love it. Whee! I love it. Yay! This Her Universe / Hot Topic / it's amazing, and it's a lasso, and it comes off, and I'll probably wear the lasso with this, because why not?
Yeah, you
okay.
can.
I am excited. Yay!
Yeah. So, I know it's DC.
Daniel Hyatt says your S is showing up backwards. So are you really Bizarro, Richard? Well, if you watch on YouTube, actually, it wouldn't be Bizarro, Richard.
But on Facebook, it is Bizarro. So give me some vintage toys so I can open all of them. If I see a red button, I'm not gonna push it.
Yes. And I want to give dead air. Am I saying that?
Pause
next
for
thing?
emphasis.
Yes.
It has your name on it.
Okay. And look, he's got his tools right there. Hey,
Yep.
I know a tool that is. That's not a boom arm.
No.
That's a rum rum rum. That's a drill. Always remember to stay tuned for bloopers.
And well, that works.
Okay, yay! All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with us, those of you who did.
I know, on the East Coast. It's at 9 o'clock?
It's really late. We need to eat dinner.
Sorry, guys.
Bye. Bye, guys. Okay, perfect. That was much better. Man.